Hello, my name is Rishabh, and I made this video to talk about ERP project and some of the ways in which we'll approach it. So here is a high-level pipeline of different modules of how we see the solution working. On the left-hand side, you have audio files, which go through a transcription model. The output of this model is a series of transcript files, which are text representation of the audio files. And then we use these files to perform various types of text processing, things like lemmatization, stemming, bigram generation, etc. What that process does essentially is decomposes these transcript files into parts that can be used by an algorithm, and they can be algorithmically analyzed for patterns. In this case, I'm using an algorithm called LDA, latent delay allocation. And what it essentially does is it sees various text bodies as a collection of topics. It looks at various words that are involved in the text document and tries to isolate clusters of words that may be connected to a certain topic. And once that algorithm is done, what comes out of it is a cluster of words that through human labeling, we can look at those words and assign specific labels to them. So in this case, for example, we've taken these three topics that the LDA could potentially output and name them based on the words that belong to the cluster as things like space or statistics or finance based on what those words signify. So here is an example of the application that I've built to demonstrate some of these concepts. So I took some TED Talk videos and extracted the audio streams from them to demonstrate the pipeline. So I took 7 of such videos, extracted the audio files, and have run them through the steps that we just saw. And here's the output, right? So each of these audio files have been assigned a topic. The way this works is that the audio file was analyzed by the pipeline and the words were processed. So here's a transcript of that audio as it was generated. And it's gone in and created these word clusters. So here is a list of all of the word clusters that is generated on the right-hand side. And these word clusters, then I looked at physically manually and assigned them what I thought were relevant topics. For example, when it spoke about water, liquid, life, earth, I assigned it the topic water. Or when it said water, life, moon, and Saturn, I've given it space. So I've gone in and assigned these word cluster specific topics. And then the application assigned the topic that it thought was discussed most in that particular document or audio file in this case. So that's the score in there. For example, if you went in, the talk's title was Virus Detection Networks to Stop Next Pandemic. Here's that transcript, and it's found these two word clusters, and these clusters I had labeled as pandemic and healthcare, and sure enough, I mean, those topics do come in this particular transcript. So some of the ways in which we could look at customizing the solution for our use case is we would build these as modules, and some of these modules can be swapped out. For example, I'm using in this pipeline Mozilla's Deep Speech ML algorithm. We could swap that out, for example, say with Google's AutoML application. And we could also customize this transcription model with custom words that are specific for this use case. For example, some product names and account names that are not found in English vocabulary. We could also look at customizing the text processing to pick up on words that are very specific to the use case in hand. And the front part of the left-hand side of the pipeline could also be used for, say, Lotus Notes. Instead of processing from audio files, we could process from Lotus Notes database, and our journey from the transcript file towards the right-hand side will remain more or less same, or could remain same. The other place where we would significantly expect customization is the choice of the algorithm and the tuning. In this case, I've used LDA, but when we analyze based on the domain and the requirements of the data that we see, we could choose a slightly different algorithm that is more suited for classifying conversations in our use case. We would also spend significant amount of time in tuning to make that application optimal for our use cases. And that includes working with your domain experts in identifying what words and topics and the weightages that we'll have to give for various applications. And those are just some of the ways in which we'd customize the application to work for our use cases. I hope this has given you an idea of how we would approach the problem. And if you have any questions for us, please let us know. We'd love to have a conversation. Thank you.